Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime Lycoris Recoil Season 1 on Toonami. And I overall enjoyed this anime. I liked the kind of world building that they did with essentially taking the premise of cute girls with guns and building it out better than just having it be that. We get character development on our two main characters, Takina and Chisato, while extending out our cast of characters with Teach running the Lycoris Cafe, Kurumi, also known as Walnut, and like the Teach Mizuki older kind of role lady who keeps bemoaning the fact that she doesn't have a boyfriend. But it's interesting because the Lycoris program is utilizing essentially, well, we've got the Lycoris program and the Lilybell one, so we've got pretty much young child soldiers being utilized to keep the peace in Japan. And we get introduced to this other character, Majima, that is pretty much leading this terrorism kind of free will kind of thing going on and trying to break that kind of thing because the government DA utilizes Lycoris to pretty much take these people out, uses this advanced AI, Radiata, to do propaganda and cover up everything and change up the official stories to maintain a peaceful Japan. So the premise is pretty damn solid. The animation works out very well as well. It's nicely detailed. The action scenes are nicely choreographed. Chisato's work is really cool, and I almost kind of likened her to Captain America, because of how she kind of goes more on a non-violent kind of, well, not non-violent, non-lethal kind of route. She doesn't have a problem utilizing force, but she is not an overly sadistic, violent person. She will defend people as best as she can, but she doesn't go out of her way to kill people. And her using these kind of like non-lethal rounds and to be able to dodge like she does, she's really kind of cool. And we've kind of got that clash because she likes to help people, but she has her own kind of free spirit, likes to go find sweets and everything, is pretty much a typical kind of high school girl. Takina is pretty much the definition of a child soldier who's pretty much focused on the mission and wants to just do stuff at DA. However, we are introduced to her as Lycoris is attempting to take down an arms deal, and one of their group is taken hostage, and she starts firing indiscriminately with a machine gun, disobeying direct orders and getting kicked out and forced to work at Lycoris as she's attempting to try and get back into there. And at first she really kind of clashes. She's no nonsense, does everything kind of by the book, and does nothing that would essentially be considered fun or kind of girly or whatnot. There's an episode where Chisato has to take her clothes shopping because she's been wearing boxer briefs because those are like boxers because they're the most tactically advantageous. That was a kind of funny, crazy-ass episode. But we see them kind of learning about each other and Takina kind of taking on Chisato's kind of ideals a little bit. Not going as far as doing the non-lethal rounds, but utilizing her gun to shoot for non-lethal kind of places. And we essentially have this as a 13 episode, 13 episode, where they kind of help people throughout kind of things, like, oh, okay, we see Chisato pretty much helping, like a local police officer, dealing with, like, the Yakuza and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, them helping the hacker Walnut, and that's how we get Kurumi as our kind of tech expert throughout. My main kind of complaint is that 13 episodes really isn't enough to kind of deal with everything kind of going on, because the main kind of plot going through is Majima doing all this kind of stuff and the Allen Institute trying to find these people, because we find out towards the end that Chisato was brought in by the Allen Institute by this Mr. Yoshi dude because she has preternatural, like supernatural abilities of like dodging things and being able to kill people, so he wanted to help that with that talent. We see this needed to be dived in a little bit more. The Allen Institute's pretty much finding people with special kind of talents and trying to have them utilize those to their fullest ability in the world. And evidently Chisato and Majima were pretty much picked for like their killing abilities, and they have kind of history as well because Chisato left DA because of this whole kind of radio tower incident. That is where Majima kind of met up with her, but he didn't realize that he was fighting her until later on, as he's like going through and trying to take down Lycoris and everything going on with DA and what they're trying to do, taking all these guns that were at that kind of arms meet in the beginning and trying to disperse them and try and make pretty much chaos. I wanted that to be kind of more of a focus because Chisato is essentially defending the status quo and he's trying to disrupt that status quo. But they don't really focus enough on it, in my opinion, because it just pretty much comes towards that position at the end of the season, and I think they needed to do a little bit more work to make that a more kind of effective argument, because Majima's more... They both pretty much have weak arguments at this, but Majima's more at the weaker kind of end because he's just going fucking willy-nilly, not really having a plan, and if you're going more for freedom and trying to help the Japanese people, like, understand what's kind of going on, you don't need to go a kind of violent kind of route. You can just showcase kind of what's going on and kind of get this all out in the open. And he was attempting to do that with the hacker that succeeded Walnut Robata, I think. Let me see here. Robota, yeah. Pretty much showcasing like live stream broadcasts of like Lycoris tried to take on Majima at this new radio tower that is replacing the old one. And I kind of wanted more of that. I kind of wanted Chisato to kind of understand, it's like, hey, this isn't right. I mean, we kind of get a little bit that with Mr. Yoshi and Teach, as Mr. Yoshi wants her to be a killer and actually wanted to kill him to get, so that way she could have a new artificial heart, actually going so far as to sabotage the artificial heart that she's already got, because they gave her one because she was about to die because of heart problems. So they gave her that, and they're like, you know what, we kind of need to force her in to make sure she's a killer. And I'm like, I kind of want them to explore more of that. It's not really that, it doesn't have the time to really do that as effectively as it could. So I do think they're doing another season on this, and Chisato does get the heart back because her Teach, the one that was pretty much in charge of Lycoris, does give her the kind of information and does actually take out Yoshi, and they were actually lovers. And it's like, god damn. And he decided to kill him and then give the heart to Chisato, and she at first thought she was probably going to die within this kind of certain time frame, but we see that she's pretty much been living in the kind of out of this way thing, but Taken is able to kind of find her. It's like, what the hell are you doing here? And then they decide to like set up a fucking little food truck in Hawaii, and it's like, okay, that's kind of nice, as that's pretty much where the season ends. As also DA's like, where the fuck are you? Oh, passport? What the fuck are you talking about? And they're just kind of doing their own kind of thing, as we see that their best kind of status quo is working and doing stuff and helping people at the Lycoris. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Now, I do like seeing Takena's got the most with her kind of character growth throughout this season and is able to kind of showcase it. Teach is pretty much second. Chisato, she pretty much stays the same, even it's just it comes a little bit too late with the understanding of Yoshi, as it pretty much more happens towards the end of the season. She does have some changes, throwing away the Allen Institute pendant that had meant so much to her and pretty much being like, fuck Mr. Yoshi. But it's mainly how it's like at the end and we don't have enough time to ruminate and have it breathe. That's like, okay. So I would still overall recommend this series because its action is very well done. I do like the characters and the world building. It's a very interesting world. It's just kind of short, and pacing wise is what goes kind of nutty. And of course, Majima survives their final confrontation and he's still out there. So we've got the potential for different kind of stuff in this season that they could potentially do with this, but we'll have to see what kind of goes on with it. I do like the idea that our main focus is for Lycoris, but we've also got Lilybell that was actually going to be sent in to take out the Lycoris to kind of save them from the kind of propaganda snafu. It's like, you fuckers, screw that shit. So there's a lot of interesting kind of moving parts, but we don't have enough time to execute and like dive a little bit deeper into this, and that's just my biggest issue. I'm like, okay, just give me more. There's a lot of interesting characters and a lot of interesting world and a lot of good action and music and animation that happens here. I'm like, I've got no problem recommending it. Now, granted, if it's not really overly bloody, it doesn't go anywhere like really horrendous. So, recommendation-wise, it would probably sit somewhere between a PG-13 that's on the kind of higher end, sometimes maybe borderlining on an R? No, it doesn't go into R territory, so if you're kind of freaked out about certain kind of things, I don't think this one would have that much of a problem for you. The only thing that'll happen is that you'll come to the end and be like, I just want a little bit more of this, and maybe actually some deeper kind of exploration of these themes or whatnot. And that's of any kind of problems that you can get from any kind of stories, animes, TV shows, books, or whatnot, that's always a good one to have until you can't execute on that potential and promise. That's the only issue that really it becomes a problem when you're like, you can't fulfill that kind of thing. And it's like, or you drag it out and be like, ooh. Don't always tease it. I mean, you can have certain kind of teases, but deliver on them. So like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I would really recommend this. I liked watching this through Toonami, and I hope they do more animations on it. I think this has a lot of good potential, and I'd been hearing about it when it came out. I'm like, oh, okay, I'd like to look into that at some point, and I'm really glad that I did. So, those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.